this reality TV star. You may have heard of her. Kim Kardashian West. Yeah, I've heard of her. She met with Trump, and apparently it worked. Yeah. And then last week, if you can recall, Trump pardoned conservative filmmaker Dinesh D'Souza. He floated potentially commuting the sentence of former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich. Boy, there's a name for you. And also, in the mix here, his friend Martha Stewart. In May, Donald Trump, he pardoned Jack Johnson. So this is another boxer, so he likes boxing. Well, Mike Tyson, remember he used to perform at his casino in Atlantic City? Jack Johnson, boxing's first black heavyweight champion, after being urged to do so by Rocky star Sylvester Stallone. So Stallone urging Trump to pardon Jack Johnson. It's a beautiful thing. Presidents do. How do you feel about the pardoning power of the president? I mean, that's their prerogative. I think about the controversial figures that Barack Hussein Obama pardoned during his tenure. People that actually set off bombs. Folks like that. I do have to make a comment about the Rosie O'Donnell thing, and just very, very quickly, because we're kind of talking Valerie Jarrett, another colorful player, no pun intended, in the White House. Valerie Jarrett, is a very colorful character. And I say this not in a racial term. I say this because she is associated with the Muslim Brotherhood extremist group that does terrorism around the world. These are the kind of people that Barack Hussein Obama had with him. I think that, and I'm just thinking, that some of the deep anger is because she realizes these things and more about Valerie Jarrett. But you cannot put people in the category with the color of the skin being darker as an ape or a buffoon. Cannot say these things. They are definitely not, yes, politically correct. These are socially unacceptable. These are intolerable. We have to do better on talking to folks. This wasn't a comedy venue. This wasn't a taping of Roseanne. And Roseanne blaming Ambien for the misfire was not cool. I am very disappointed that she used the language that she used. Now, Valerie Jarrett, not a good person when it came to her affiliations, and never denounced them. Never denounced them. And very interesting people. I could go on about the players of Barack Obama. However, Barack Obama and those players are no longer relevant in the current administration. Oh, they're trying to make trouble elsewhere, but it just does not paint conservatives, moderate conservatives, etc., into a good picture if you're a Trump supporter. Because that's what the left wants. The left wants to paint everybody with the same stroke of racism. The same brush that they're going to paint her, they want to paint you with. And they'll use it as an opportunity because she's a Trump supporter. You're a Trump supporter. So you must like what she said. The reason I am saying that I didn't like what she said is because I have the microphone. I'm a moderate conservative, and I thought it was highly offensive. Folks, you don't say these things. Never. Now, Don Imus of Imus in the Morning, the legendary Don Imus. Remember, he got canned from his radio gig. And that was his life. He was so depressed not being able to be on the air. Oh, Don Imus, whatever. Down here, Don Imus. But thank God he's got Bernie. He's got an entourage there in New York. But listen, I'm not beating up Don Imus, but he learned that he has to be very careful of the things that he said. He called one of the basketball players a nappy-headed hoe. And he got canned immediately. He got picked up by another network, which is a beautiful thing. There was forgiveness. And maybe Roseanne will actually get her gig back. But I understand this past week she started retweeting the same stuff just about. There doesn't seem to be any real remorse there for those particular things. It's offensive to colored people. Just the mere words of the bad hombres coming across the Mexican border, a lot of Latinos, not all of them, a lot of them thought that Trump was making fun of immigrants or Spanish speakers in a lot of countries. Things can be construed, and you may never be able to get away from that. It's just not the kind of publicity that you want to follow you. Be careful with your words. Be careful with your words, because people will remember them, and people will, more importantly, they will rebroadcast them. You might live in one of those towns where you say something to one, and that one particular person, we used to say it in White Springs, Florida, where Chuck did the broadcast, we'd tell Helen. And she'd tell everybody. But Helen was a good person, okay? But there's some people that will take your words behind your back in a negative way, and you'll never know it. It's something that we should all learn from. Seriously, when these things happen, I feel bad because Roseanne Barr, she's funny. And not everybody thinks she's funny, but I think she's funny. And I just don't see how in the world they're going to be able to do Roseanne just with Darlene and Goodman. I just, and the rest of the cast. They're talented, but they're not Roseanne. Roseanne made the Roseanne show. Centered around the daughter? I just don't think so. It's just like The Apprentice. Let's get Arnold Schwarzenegger to take over for Donald Trump. So the ratings, boom, 2 shows, done. 2 shows. That was it. It's like taking Mickey Mouse out of the park, baby, and that's what happened to Chuck Harder when they took him out of the Telford Hotel. That's part of the story in the book, the inside story of what happened to Chuck Harder, talk radio at the Telford. If you've not made a donation towards this project, please do at forthepeopleshow.com. It's just a simple gesture to say I cared about what this guy did, and I want his story not to be forgotten too soon. It needs to be told, folks. It really needs to be told. I'm doing this because I love the guy, and I believed in what he did, and what the Clintons did, what the IRS did, what other players and participants around that, they'll be named, what they did to hurt this man who only took to the airwaves to tell the American truth, the truth every day. And that's the thanks that he got from it. I would like to see more participation in this project, to be honest with you. We get so many people listening to the broadcast, and I appreciate it tuning in. Please continue to listen to the broadcast and promote the show as much as you can. But it's an uphill battle, folks. And yes, we're praying and pray alongside us to get this project done. But yes, we're making this stuff happen. Bill Clinton is saying that he is a victim. He's the victim in the Me Too movement. I am dead serious here. He's a victim. Bill Clinton, Slick Willie, he's the victim. Is that right? In an NBC Today interview, former President Bill Clinton, his arrogant ways and just his behavior on full display when he was asked about the Monica Lewinsky scandal during his presidency. Folks, people were saying he demonstrated that nothing has changed since he left the office. 2 decades later, since we're living in the era of Me Too, and the man we almost sent back to the Oval Office, this time as a presidential spouse, thinks it's about him too. Folks, this guy is the looniest. I don't know if he's got Alzheimer's. I don't know what's going on inside of his head, folks, these days. But there's no remorse. This man's not sorry for what he did. He says that he's sorry. This is him, Bill Clinton, just recently out getting ready for a TV interview. Here he is.
When I saw the interview, I thought that because they had to, distill it. And it looked like I was saying I didn't apologize and I had no intention to. And I was mad at me.
Mm-hmm. Well, you said in the interview that you did apologize. You said you apologized in the interview.
I did. That was a very painful thing that happened 20 years ago. And I apologized to my family, to Monica Lewinsky and her family, to the American people. I meant it then, I meant it now. I've had to live with the consequences every day since. And I still believe this Me Too movement is long overdue, necessary, and should be supported.
The media gave him a pass for decades. The media allowed him to get away with what happened in Arkansas with all those women in the governor's mansion. And then women that just disappeared and ended up dead. His apologies, people don't believe. And he's only saying this to try to remain relevant. And for him to say these things at the Me Too, so it's long overdue. Well, if it was long overdue and they really were going to give him the boot, they should have done it. They gave him a pass. And now everybody's on board. The reason that people are on board now with this Me Too movement is because of lawsuits and they're afraid. Should that be the face of the Me Too movement? Bill Clinton? Bill Clinton. 50-year-old guy groping a young 20-year-old. More than that, there was a cigar used, all sorts of things. You remember it. Absolutely disgusting. And for him to be able to associate himself with this in any capacity is just disgusting. You too, Bill. The thing is, he's part of the problem. He's not a victim. Unbelievable. It's been 20 years, folks, by the way, since the Monica Lewinsky scandal shocked our nation. He wasn't the, yeah, I know. He wasn't the last, and he won't be the last. Not the first. JFK had his. Yeah, exactly. Another Democrat. And interesting enough, little interesting factoid, that was his role model. When Bill Clinton was a young kike, he shook hands with JFK. Bill Clinton, yeah. It made a very big impression on a young Bill who became president. No kidding. So definitely followed in his footsteps. Very much so. But no, I did not. I mean, come on, please. I wish he would have worded it a whole lot better than that. Just an apology to the American people and to his family that he hurt the most. Definitely destroyed it. In more ways than... And this meeting coming up, we got to touch on this because this is on our newsfeed here at forthepeopleshow.com. Washington's top diplomat, Mike Pompeo, he's our Secretary of State, right? Some of you, just catching up on here. Yeah, the Exxon guy, he's gone. He met with Kim Jong-un and personally informed